Good morning. Today we are going to look at solving multi-step equations. This is lesson 2.3, page 4 in your note packet. Page 4 in your note packet. There are two steps basically to solve a multi-step equation. Step number 1 would be to undo the addition or subtraction first. And step 2 would be to undo the multiplication or division. Okay, another way of saying it would be to solve equations with more than one operation, which we know are called multi-step equations. We undo the operations by working backward. It's actually the reverse of the order of operations. That's why I wanted to write it here, because I think that helps. Undo addition and subtraction first, then undo multiplication and or division. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of examples. I'm going to work these with you. So let's just get to a spot where we have some nice clean paper. Example number 1. Now this one is in your notes and it is worked out. I'm going to do a few that aren't in your notes. 5x plus 3 equals 23. So when I used to teach this in pre-algebra, this is what I always said. Remember how I taught you when we did one-step equations? I said always isolate the variable. So I'm just going to put 5x in a box. Now I realize that I have 5x plus 3 equals 23. So this is my original equation. Step number 2, I'm going to subtract 3 from each side. And now I have 5x equals 20. And we all know that 5 and x are kissing, that there's no kissing in math class, that King's has a 6-inch rule. So now we are going to divide each side by 5. Y'all with me? Yes? Good job. Thank you. So we divide each side by 5. And we get what, guys? X equals 4. Now you can check your work. So you can check it mentally really quickly. 5 times 4 is 20. 20 plus 3 is 23. Are you with me? You sure? Okay, let's try another one. This is 11x minus 4 equals 29. So this is my original equation. I'm always going to box my variable because I know I'm going to deal with that last. Okay, so this is minus 4. So class, what would I do to each side? So we are going to add 4 to each side. And I now get 11x equals 33. Next step, 11 and x are kissing, no kissing, so I divide each side by 11. And we get x equals 3. So we can check our work real quickly. 11 times 3 is 33. 33 minus 4 is 29. Any questions up to this point? Okay, let's look at our next question. This is a plus 7. This is in your notes. It's just not worked out for you. A plus 7 over 8 equals 5. Okay, so there are two methods, and I'm going to show you both. And you can choose which one you prefer. Okay? So the first thing we realize is we have a plus 7 over 8 equals 5. So we need to get rid of the denominator, which means we could multiply each side by 8. Okay? So let's do that method first. So this would become 8 times a plus 7 over 8 equals 5 times 8. Multiply each side by 8 to eliminate the denominator. Does that make sense? Yes? So that's step 1. That's step 2. So watch what happens when we do this. This 8 and this 8 cancel, and I'm left with a plus 7 equals 40. I want to solve for a, so I subtract 7 from each side, and I get a equals 33. So I'm going to give you a major hint here. Please check your solution, because you can get some really funky answers when you do these types of problems, because if you do something wrong, what's going to happen? The number one common mistake would be this. You're going to cancel these 8s, but then you multiply 8 times a and 8 times 7, and you're going to get a crazy answer. These 8s cancel out. That's why I went ahead and put a plus 7 in parentheses to show you. So let's just go ahead and do this. 33 plus 7 is... So let's check our work. Let me write it down here for you. 33 plus 7 over 8 is supposed to equal 5, and it does. 40 over 8 equals 5. 5 equals 5. So that's method 1. How many have seen this method before? Anybody seen this method before? Yes. Okay. Here's method 2, the one that I prefer, because I just think it's much easier. And it makes a lot more sense. And it's something you're probably going to use forever and ever. Solve by an equal proportion. So let me write the problem again. A plus 7 over 8 equals 5. Okay, so in equal proportion, we talked about it a little bit on Friday. An equal proportion is an equation where two fractions or two ratios are equal to each other. I hope you all remember that if you have any whole number or any integer, we can make it a fraction by writing it over 1. Okay? Yes? So this is my original equation. I put 5 over 1 to make it a fraction. Does that make sense? Okay, good. Okay, step number 2. Solve your equal proportion by cross multiplication. So this becomes a plus 7 over 8 equals 5 over 1. And what we do is we go crisscross. Okay? So let me show you what we do. We're going to multiply the top left by the bottom right, and the bottom left by the top right. Mrs. Urso likes to say this. Criss, cross, apple, sauce. It's kind of dumb, but it helps you remember it. So here we go. A plus 7 times 1, or 1 times a plus 7, equals 5 times 8, or a plus 7 equals 40. We all know how to solve that equation. We subtract 7 from each side, and we get a equals 33. Does anyone have a question? Okay, so let's just remember something. If this were an SAT or an ACT problem, and they are multiple choice, are you really going to take the time to work the problem? No, you're going to take your answers and you're going to plug them in. So if you're ever taking a test and it's multiple choice and it's an equation and you're like, I don't remember how to solve that equation, let the test work in your advantage. You will hear me say that over and over and over again. We will work on test taking skills as well. Okay, let me let you guys try too. And and then I think I might talk to you about one more problem, and then we'll be in great shape. Let's do one of these where there's a decimal. 0.6x minus 1.5 equals 1.8. And let's do this one, because this one's a little bit involved, and we didn't see one like this. Negative 12 plus k over negative 4 equals 8. So let me give you a hint on number 2. Everybody look at number 2. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to add 12 to each side. Then you're going to solve what's left, and you can do it as an equal proportion. Y'all with me? Yes? Okay, let me give you about 3 minutes. See what you guys got from these 2 problems. Okay, 0.6x minus 1.5 equals 1.8. So let's look at our solutions here. So the first thing we're going to do is what? Add what? Add 1.5 to each side. And we get 0.6x equals, is it 3.3? Then divide each side by 0.6. And you get x equals what? 5.5. And I checked my work, and I plugged it back in, and it works. Anybody have a question? Yes?
I did one more step, but I got to 7, and I realized how I could change
Okay. Negative 12 plus k over negative 4 equals 8. So the first thing we realize is we're solving for a variable, so we're going to add 12 to each side. And we have k over negative 4 equals 20. Remember, we can make it in equal proportion by putting 20 over what? 1. And so we have k equals negative 4 times 20, or k equals negative 80. How many people got that for an answer? Awesome job. Okay, so let me just remind you that your homework for this evening is skills practice. It's from your homework packet, 2.3, page 3, 1 through 18 all. You are to write the problem out, notebook paper, set it up properly, write the problem, show work, box the answer, and give me an answer column.